Hello, friends, and welcome to the HoneyCast. I am so excited to introduce you to one of my friends and fellow colleagues, fellow coach, and her name is Debbie Martin, and she is here today to talk to us about her Trim Healthy journey and her weight loss journey and more. So I cannot wait to get to all of the good things. First, why don't you just tell us a little bit about you and how you stumbled onto the Trim Healthy way?
Okay, yeah. My name is Debbie Martin. I'm 50 years old. I turned 58 this last year, and I feel so good about it. I am so excited about being 50. I am a mom of 5 kids. They're not kids anymore. They're all grown. Been a wife for 30 years, and I have had trouble with my weight throughout my whole life, like really my whole life. And I came across Trim Healthy way back, maybe on the book. I don't remember the exact year, but it was early when we were, lamenting new naturals changed their formula to stevia, and we didn't know what we were going to do. But I didn't stick with it because I stalled and tried other things. Came back to Trim Healthy, didn't stick with it again because I stalled and thought, there were other things to do. No matter what I tried, it didn't matter. And I finally gave up and I was like, I'm done. I've had it. I can't do this dieting thing anymore. It's over and I'll just be what I am. And I just wanted to be healthy. And I was bawling in the shower, just crying out to God and asking him to just help me. I knew he didn't want me to be sick. And that's basically what I just kept getting sick and just not well at all. And the highest weight I had ever been. And nothing was working. It wasn't for lack of discipline because people call me extreme and radical in my ways. So it's not from lack of discipline at all. It just, nothing would work. And so I just decided that I was going to give all of that dieting over to God, surrender it, and let him guide me to health. And I knew that I needed some kind of guide, right? I wasn't just going to be driving through McDonald's all the time and be healthy. It wasn't going to work. So I just thought about all of the things I had done, all of the diets, all the programs, all the fads, all the things. And the most sustainable in my everyday life that I felt like I could stick with was Trim Healthy. And so that's what I did. And I just committed to 1 year learning the plan because it can be confusing and a little bit overwhelming. Even a third time through, it was still like, I don't know if I really understand these fuels and the S helpers and like all those things. So I just committed to a year of learning the plan, and I did, and I lost some weight, but I felt good, and I was like, okay, I made it a year, and I'm gonna next year. I thought of something new to challenge myself, and so every year I would do something. But around the I don't know, third-ish year, second-ish, third-ish year, I stalled and I stalled for a while and then I started to gain. And that's where I ended up until about 6 months ago.
Let me ask you this, because I love that you committed, and you weren't committing to this is a diet. You weren't committing to the scale, needing to see something on the scale. You were like, I'm just going to commit to this way of eating for a whole year. I
Right.
really think that is a key to your success. And I want to ask you, what did you do when your brain would tell you, like, you know, maybe this isn't working? And did you have doubts, or were you just like, no, I'm in for a year? How did you navigate that?
That first year, I didn't even allow myself to go there in those thoughts. Like I really, when I say I surrendered that, I really did. And I got on the scale, but it wasn't that big of a deal to me because nothing else had worked. I just wanted to learn the plan. So that was where my head was finding new recipes and learning, really, really learning what the fuels were and which foods I liked and which I didn't, which did I want to, build a recipe all the time? Or did I just want to eat my meat, my vegetables? I'm not a huge recipe person, but I was trying all kinds of them and stuff like that. So I really just spent that year just learning, and I was very focused on just learning.
Yeah, I love that. It's just a non-negotiable. It's like, nope, we're not even going to talk about it.
Right.
So
Right.
it sounds like you that first year you were, trying a lot of different things. The second year, did you find a flow for you? Because I think a lot of women will come into any type of eating lifestyle, okay, and they will look at how other people do it, or they'll look at the cookbooks with lots of special ingredients or lots of use a lot of different recipes, and feel like I can't do this and this isn't me, and so they kind of just don't. Do you feel like that in that year you learned how to navigate what was best for you?
I did. I did. I learned how to navigate the plan for me in a way that it didn't matter where I was, I could implement this. And it wasn't that there weren't any cheats or there weren't any days off or anything like that. I just didn't view them the same that I had before. Like that was it. I cheated and that was it for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. And I'd start again on Monday. No, that 3 hour window was just miraculous for me because I didn't have to start over in the morning. I didn't have to start over on Monday. I could start over the very next meal. And that was good. And I was good with that. And with each time that I would go longer and longer without cheating and without going off plan, then the more I wanted to eat on plan. And I would start packing for vacations and taking, a travel pantry and different things like that. I would say another thing that happened in that second year was people started noticing that I was changing. And they started noticing when we would go out that I was doing things differently. And so they started asking me questions, and I started to build a little community around this way of eating and this way of living. And that made me want to learn more because they were wanting me to teach them. And I was like, well, I hope I really know it. I don't know. And I was just making better, my health was getting better. I was slimming, all kinds of different things were happening. The scale wasn't moving a lot. I was considered a turtle loser. I called myself the turtliest turtle loser that ever was. But I was committed to the plan.
Yeah.
I really was committed to it.
Well, the commitment is key. I just actually did a podcast on the number one thing, which really is being committed. I have a couple questions. One, I'm going to let you think about it for a little bit, and then I want to transition. I would love to know what you do for your travel pantry. That I think that would be helpful to those that are listening, and even to myself. I'm actually getting ready to go out of town tomorrow. I've got all kinds of stuff behind me, but if you throw out something like, "Ooh, I need to do that," then that would be good. But I do think it's helpful for those of us to hear you can really do this anywhere. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to, kill yourself, but you can do it, especially if you're thinking ahead. So that's one question.
Mhm.
After that, or how you can answer these in whatever order. Then I want to go into I met you. So I met you for the first time at the cafe when we were having our coaching time together, our coaching retreat, and that's when you were in the community with some of your family, and you were like, I want to learn everything and I want to teach everybody, and you were. That's when I met you. When you were to me like you were just rolling in it, like you had it. It was
Yeah.
moving along. And I know you were wanting to learn more and help other people. And I know you continue to do that. So I want to know kind of what happened because, and I know this because you've been in my coaching groups and we've talked and stuff, but I want for people to hear, it's not always roses and tulips. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that happen in our journey, and sometimes we need to change and we need to do things differently. So I would love for you to talk about those two things, and you can answer those in whatever order you'd like to.
Sure, sure. Well, I'll start with I wrote down travel pantry, so I'll hold that over there for when I forget. It'll be there to remind me.
Yeah.
Um, so I was super excited. I just wanted to know everything and soak up everything that I could because it had changed my life so much that I wanted to help everyone. I'm still like that. I will probably be like that. I've always been like that my whole life. Like, I found this cool thing. I need to tell everyone. um, so I was coaching and not, I don't know, I was dipping my toe in the coaching. I had a little tribe here locally, and I did an in-group session. I was asking them, hey, I'm going to start the coaching. Will you guys be like, they're called my guinea pigs. We even have a group on Facebook. They're my guinea pig group, and they're going to go with me everywhere. But I did in-person coaching there, group, and it was just so much fun. I was teaching people, how to implement the fuels. We took field trips to Nashville. We would go to Costco, go to the cafe, all these things. And I was just so excited about the changes. And then they're all losing, right? At this point, I've been doing this a couple years, and they're all starting to just see everything go down. Their clothes are getting bigger. They're able to go. And all in this time, I'm stalled at this point, and I'm going up. And I'm watching these people lose like 70 pounds and 50 pounds, 30 pounds. And I'm just like, what's happening? What's going on? Why is this working for them so much better than it was working for me? And I changed some things, because you have to tweak. I was getting older, and I joined your perimenopause group. And I was tweaking, for that, trying to help my hormones and things like that. And it was still the scale just kept creeping up. And I could see it, like the clothes that were getting bigger were now getting smaller. And it was I was in a really hard place of what is going on. This is not right. Like, I'm doing everything right. I have people looking at my food, and they're like, looks great. You've got lots of vegetables. Everything looks perfect. I was strength training. I was trying to get my steps. I know I drove you crazy. I'm like, how am I getting all the steps in? I'm trying. And I was, pickleball. I incorporated pickleball, steps, strength training. My food was on point. My supplements were on point. I was getting my hormones balanced. Or optimized my thyroid, all the things of all the things I was doing. And yet I was creeping up, and it was just devastating, honestly.
Yeah. I remember how frustrated you were. And then I remember you called me, or you texted me, and I was in New York at a baseball thing.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you and how frustrated you were. And you were considering, I guess you had a conversation with Pearl, and you were considering, talking to your doctor. Actually, he used to be my doctor too, about the GLP-1 and all that. So tell me what happened with all that.
Well, actually, our doctor, that 6 months in, when I was stalled for 6 months, and I said, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. This is not making sense. He actually recommended that to me then, but I didn't know what it was. And the way he recommended it to me, I was so mad. Oh, it just made me so mad, because he said, oh, you should probably take this. It's an appetite suppressant. Oh, I wanted to hit him. I just wanted to go across the desk and punch him. So I was like, I pulled out my phone. I'm like, you need to see my food. Like, don't even. You have no idea of who I am and what I'm doing. Like, it made me so mad, but I didn't know what it was. And, he kind of just kept suggesting it at every stage. I'm like, well, I'm still gaining, and I don't know what's wrong. And I don't know. And probably about a year of him recommending it, then, like you said, Pearl started recommending it. And I was just like, no, like, I wouldn't even listen. Like, until that was around September, when I was really feeling the pull to do it. And I was in such turmoil. I mean, that's why I called you, and I felt so bad. You were in New York, and I'm just like, I and you were so helpful. You didn't push me either way of anything. You just told me to think on it, and I did, and I was ready. I was ready to do it. I felt like it's really weird, because, and this is me personally. Everybody has their own individual walks and paths and things like that. For me, I went and joined a bunch of semaglutide, tirzepatide groups on Facebook because I wanted to see real time, what people were experiencing. And I know that, some people take it in the wrong way and some people take it in the right way. There's all different scenarios. I understand that. But I just couldn't get a peace about it. For me personally, I just couldn't do it. And I didn't want to accept, I guess, that, I don't know, I felt like the reason I would do it was because my body was broken. I felt like, I was being told my body was broken and it wasn't working and it wouldn't metabolize fuels. And so where a lot of people, there's hope, so much hope in this, I felt hopeless in it and I felt defeated and I felt like everything was gone for me. And this was what was left for me, and my body just wouldn't work anymore. And I just cried. I cried and I cried all day. I cried. I called and ordered the prescription. And I think I even told, the nurse there at the doctor's office, yeah, well, just going to go back to dieting, Debbie. And it's just about being small because I don't know what else to do. This is what I have to do. And she was trying to, if they're trying to console you when you're going to do this, it's probably not the best decision for you.
Right. Might be a little light bulb there.
Maybe, but all this time, I'm calling you, I'm calling everybody, my tribe, my guinea pigs here praying over me. Because for me, I have such a long journey and it seemed like this is the end, that it was just the end. And it didn't set well with me. So I cried and cried and cried. And that's how I felt about it.
Well, what I did advise you to do, and what I also advise any woman, even when it comes to whether it's the GLP-1 or hormone replacement therapy or whatever it is that you have to have a peace about it. And if you can get educated, that's helpful. You can get counsel, that's helpful. But if you don't have a peace about something, then most likely that's not the path. And, I think you coming to the end of that, and then you just had to let that die, let that thing go. So what happened when you just sort of when you realized, I can't do this, you let that go, what doors opened then?
Okay, so this is really cool. So I'm laying there crying that this is what I'm going to do, and I didn't want to do it. And I was just on Facebook or Instagram. I don't know, you had to just go through the reels. I was just doing that, sitting on my couch. And I had so before I even was going to agree or concede, I don't even know how to say it, but to the GLP-1, tirzepatide was the one that I chose, and that's what I was going to do. I wanted to see my metabolic numbers, my A1C, my fasting glucose, my fasting insulin, and they were okay. I mean, I thought they were golden at that time. That's what I said. Like my numbers are golden. And my fasting insulin, listen, just from doing Trim Healthy for 3+ years, my fasting insulin went from 24 something to 7.1, which is amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what real food can do, people.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely amazing in that time period. And so I was like, okay, nobody had told me I was insulin resistant. Even the doctor was like, well, you could be, it's like, okay, so that wasn't even entering into my head. And then I came across an endocrinologist on a reel, and just right, she says, well, if your fasting insulin number is 7, that's not bad, but under 5 is optimal and where you want to be insulin sensitive. And I was like, what? I just clicked. I was like, wait a minute. That's my number. My number's 7. And you're telling me there's still a problem? I thought I was good and golden. And so I just started deep diving at that moment into insulin resistance and just going through all the different doctors and influencers and different people that I gleaned from. And I'm like, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? What's good? What's good that I can take from you to help this insulin resistance thing? And because again, I was doing everything perfectly, right? But I was still having the effects of insulin resistance. So um, I just, I called my doctor and I said, cancel it. I'm not taking it. Not yet. I'm going to give me a month. And so that's how my brain works. Give me a time frame to try something and then we'll see how it's going to go. And then we'll tweak from there. So I took my foundation, my very firm foundation of Trim Healthy, and I started applying different tools and different knowledge from different people of the things I needed to be eating, how I needed to be eating them if I was insulin resistant. And that first week, which was a PMS week, right? It's the week before your period. Nobody's losing weight in that week, except for me. Wow. I did. I did in the first week. Second week is my period week. You think I'm going to lose weight then? No, I did. The second week, I lost. The next week, I lost. The next week, I lost. And I have been, since September, I have been slowly still going down. And not just that. I mean, the inflammation's going away. All different kinds of things are happening. And since September, I have lost almost 30 pounds.
Right. That just blows my mind because I sat with you at the moringa tree and we were talking about, things have been stalled for over a year and you were gaining weight. And then I heard, you were thinking about getting on the GLP-1. And then all of a sudden I start, because I'm, of course, following you on Instagram and I start seeing everything about insulin resistance. So I'm just following you and learning because all my ladies pretty much that I coach are right there. And I start seeing you lose. And it's just been so, first of all, I am just so happy for you because you're not at the end.
Thank you.
Continue to get healthier and more vibrant. And then also you get to help other people who are in the same position who maybe they don't want to, or maybe they can't afford to do the medical or the peptides, So this is just such an amazing door that opened when you just listened to that piece in you that you were like, no, I can't do this. And it was just one thing. Okay, so now keep going. And then you're going to have to tell us what you've been doing so that people who might be, well, I have a lot of questions. Okay. All right, keep going. And then if you answer them, I'll ask.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So one of the things when I was looking into the GLP-1 was almost everyone who takes it eats less, right? They just do it. Because it simulates mimics their GLP-1 hormones so that they feel full. And so they don't want to eat a lot. Well, I like to eat a lot. That was a little scary for me. I was like, wait a minute. I like to eat. So I started by taking my plate and I got a food scale, and I started weighing my protein to know exactly what 30 grams of protein looked like. It was going to be 30 grams of protein at every meal, every snack. No, there was no barring me from that. There was no deviating. Okay, 27, that'll be fine. 30. So I didn't want to measure everything and have to count everything all the time. So I started doing everything in little bowls. Like if you look back at my pictures, you'll see like a big plate with a bunch of little bowls all in it. Like everything was portioned out so that I could get a visual of what each thing for my protein, my fat, my carbs, looked like on my plate. So that's the first thing I did. And I realized that sometimes I was way overdoing protein. A chicken breast, girl, a whole chicken breast is a lot of freaking protein. I was overdoing it on some things and way underdoing it on others, just by getting a piece of meat out or something else like that. So that was the first thing, was I wanted to measure out and know exactly what I was getting. And making sure that my breakfast was the most important and the main part of my day.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, like, big breakfast, lots of protein. I had my fats. I had my carbs. I'll go back. Let me go back. I tested my blood sugar. I got a glucose monitor and tested my blood sugar for 2 weeks to see if there was something that was sabotaging me in a way that I needed to know. And I found out that there was. And it really upset me that there were two big culprits that were taking me down just in this time. I don't believe that it'll always be that way. Yeah. I feel like, you're metabolically fit, wherever you are in your, if I was going to go lift weights, right, the way that I am right now, I'm not going to probably be able to lift and be as endurant as you are, because I'm not as fit as you are in the same place. It doesn't mean I'll never get there, but I can't just go pick up a 50-pound with my one hand right now, Well, I feel that way with food. In my metabolic fitness and my metabolic health, I might not be able just to sit down and eat a whole bowl of oatmeal, even with protein powder. But when I get more insulin sensitive, right, I probably can. And I was eating oatmeal for breakfast, like lunch and dinner, and sweet potatoes. And these things, I was having a reaction. It's called reactive hypoglycemia. And so my blood sugar would spike really high and then drop really fast, and I would crash. And it just was not a good fit. It's horrible for insulin resistance, for your blood sugar to do that. You're not going to get better, right, in that way. So that is the first thing I did, was I tested my blood sugar and the foods that I was eating on a regular basis. And so I had to walk away from a few of those things for a while, just till I could get more fit, right? I'm lifting my metabolic weights right now, and I'm becoming more fit in this way. And so for me, it required, more protein, a little more fat, and some really smart carbs for my blood sugar. And everybody's different. So it just depends on what makes them spike and what doesn't. So that's where I started, made sure my proteins were on point, and then the non-starchy veggies at every single meal, every single snack, all the time, and eating them before my meal as my appetizer. This was a huge game changer for me. I mean, probably out of everything I changed, which I did change a lot. And, I have like a 12-week program that I'm working on right now, but it's like a 12-step program.
Wonderful. I love it.
That's what I feel like. There's a 12-step program to, beating this thing. But the non-starchy veggies, and a lot of them in the beginning of my meal, was huge. And I didn't even realize at the time when I started it what it was actually doing to me. And so what it was actually doing was the fiber, first of all, the prebiotic fiber, was getting in my stomach, and it creates even different juices to prepare the fuels that you're going to put behind it. But it also slows down my digestion, which is what I was looking to do.
Right.
It also tells my GLP-1 hormone, it gets it ready and says, hey, we're going to slow down right here, and gets it ready to tell my pancreas, how much insulin I'm going to need later on, after I've been working through my glucose for a little while and not just jolting it in my system, right in the beginning. So that was, if there was one thing that I could say was the biggest game changer, was that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. I have seen that in your journey. I started implementing some of that with my own clients, and it's a game changer. It is just a game changer. And how exciting. I mean, how exciting that, and I love it how you said that. A lot of times we'll give guidelines. I give guidelines, but if somebody is not metabolically fit, or they're maybe metabolically going backwards, some of those guidelines, won't work. And it really has to be personalized, for that particular person, because you can give guidelines, but it's not going to, one size doesn't fit all. But what I love the way that how you phrase that was, it doesn't mean that you'll never get there. It just means that here is where you are in this period of time, and this is what you need to do for now. You might
Right.
need cannot have some of these higher glycemic carbohydrates. Although I have clients that when they test their blood sugar, they don't spike with the potato, but they'll spike with oatmeal.
Right.
So it's not even all of them. It's just ones that, your body reacts to.
And I do better with russet potatoes than I do sweet potatoes.
Right. That's what blows my mind when I hear that and I see that. So did you do a continuous glucose, or did you prick the finger every time you ate?
Oh, I prick this finger all the time. Every time I ate, I wish it was just that much. It was from the moment I woke up, I got my fasting blood sugar. Then I took it before I ate, then an hour after, then 2 hours after, then right before my next meal, an hour after, 2 hours after. Yeah. But I don't prick my finger very much anymore. I just needed some data to find out like what's going on, and to create I just created this protocol for myself, basically out of just pulling from
Data.
all the different things.
Data. And let me ask you this. So, and I've done a little bit of blood sugar pricking myself just out of curiosity, and I didn't have any issues with foods. However, what kept you from doing like a continuous glucose monitor as opposed to the old fashioned way?
I think I was just ready to do it that day, and someone had one I could borrow. And so I was like, oh, because that's what I do when I'm like, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it today.
Right. Right now.
Right now. I'm just going to do it right now. This is what I'm going to do. And so I just wanted to see what was happening. And they had one I could borrow. I didn't even go buy one. I borrowed some ones that they had. And I just did it for 2 weeks. I have my own now, and ever so often I will, do it when I feel it's necessary, if I feel, weird or something. But, yeah. And, I was going to say about the veggies, it not only, filled me up, it also took away the food noise, which I didn't even know that I had. I didn't realize that I was constantly thinking about putting something in my mouth. I just felt disciplined. I just thought that was willpower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been dieting since I was 10 years old.
Everybody thinks this way. Yeah, these are normal thoughts. And okay, got you.
Yeah. I didn't know people actually ate a meal and didn't even think about food again until it was time for their next meal. I had no clue that this was a reality. And that's gone now, which is another thing that the GLP-1,
right?
Those therapies do. So. Right. So I started, and then here's the kicker, like it's September, right? And then at the end of August, I had to start with my series of oral surgeries,
right?
Which meant I was on soft foods, and I'll be on soft foods probably till September. Well, they're telling me I need to eat foods like mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, all this stuff. There's carbs. I was like, we're going to have to think of something different. I can't do that. It's not happening. So I was taking all these vegetables that I had eaten, and I didn't even like raw vegetables a lot. Like, I liked salads, but when veggie plates, I was always like, what? Why do people eat this? Like, you need to cook those vegetables. Those aren't vegetables eat raw. And I eat cooked vegetables too. I'm not saying there's one's better than the other, but it is just easy just to grab raw vegetables and eat. So I joined 75 Strong last summer, and it was with Kelly and Robin. Yeah, I joined their group. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And so it was challenging yourself to do something. And I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to eat peppers and cucumbers. And for anyone who knows me, cucumbers, like, I would say no cucumbers on my salad. I would order it that way. And if I brought it and it tasted like they took them off, I would send my salad back. And it's like, I can taste cucumbers. Please bring me salad. So I was forcing myself. I just kept eating the peppers, eating the cucumbers, and now I crave them. I absolutely crave them. But when they told me that I had to eat soft foods, I'm sitting here looking at my peppers and my cucumbers and my carrots and stuff. I'm like, how am I supposed to get all these vegetables in if I can't chomp on them? And so I just got my little handy dandy Pampered Chef chopper out.
Thank you. I love mine. You gave me mine for my birthday, and I love it. I love that thing.
Yeah. Well, this is the old school one, right? The
Oh,
plunger looking
okay.
one.
Oh, not this, the
Yeah,
mandolin.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just started getting that out and chopping up those vegetables. And while I was chopping, because, by this time I'd already figured out what the vegetables were doing for me and my body. And it was the same thing that the terzepatide was going to do for me. So I started singing when I was chopping my veggies. I was making this salad song. So I started singing, I'm chopping, going, oh, 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 salad. You know, because I just was calling it, my GLP-1 booster. And so I was singing and I just started chopping everything, chopped my meat, chopped just like whatever was going to be on my plate that I was going to eat before. I just chopped it and ate it the way that it was. And so I continued to be successful and it didn't derail me. And because I have just been so excited. I mean, so excited. I just am like beyond myself.
It must be exciting to just to enter into a meal where you don't have the food noise, you know what's working. I think that's the biggest thing I'm hearing is that you have developed a confidence in what is working, and then you can all in and committed. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
And when you have that confusion, is this, I see this a lot with some of my clients, is this working? Is this not working? Is this working? Is it not working? It keeps you from being all in and singing and having fun with it. It keeps you, oh, I'm off, I'm on, I'm off, I'm on. So to
Right.
know that these things are working and they will work for everyone. I mean, everybody's at a different place. I mean, but
Right.
that's exciting because you're not at the end. That's the,
No.
like, you're not at the end. You're just beginning, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It really has been amazing. And just learning more about what, helps insulin resistance and the movement, it just took, when you like, you're reading the Bible and you've gone to church and you hear people say something, but then every once in a while, the scripture will come and you'll be like, what? I've been reading this my whole life and I didn't get it this way. That's how I feel. Like there's just things that have been said and I thought I was implementing things, but just to do it I just heard it a different way. I heard it a different way and I was able to glean different things and just put all those things into place. And it has been so successful. Like I can't remember a time in my life that I've ever lost this way. It's just been amazing. Aaron and I, my husband, we were walking into Dillard's the other day, well, a few weeks ago, and they have those, the reflection doors. And we're walking up, and I was just like, who's that normal looking girl? Like, who's the normal looking person with normal looking legs? Because in my head, like I can see myself right now and see myself. No, I'm going to look in the mirror and I know what I'm going to find. But when I don't know I'm going to see myself. In my head, I'm still 246-pound Debbie.
Mhm.
So when I see, someone a lot less than that, I'm just like,
Wow. That's got to be so exciting. I mean, every time
it is. It is.
So I know there's a couple other components because, of course, I follow you and implementing these things myself because I am older than you. I'm 55. I'm in menopause and working on some of these things as well. So the veggies, huge, huge, huge. Finding out the foods that were sabotaging you, huge, huge, huge. I'm with you on the protein. I mean, most women are under proteinized. So I would say that with most of the people that I see, they're maybe getting 40 to 60 grams of protein a day. So I'm a big start breakfast strong, 30 grams. And I shoot for 100 to 120 a day. And that's me working out and whatnot. And that's what I also help my clients do as well. But tell us a few other things that you kind of like, aha, that you are implementing that you just understand differently now that are helping on this journey.
Okay. Moving, like moving, moving, moving. I do not think of walking as my exercise anymore. It's my living. Like it is just living. And it's so sad. Like you've always been out there and get your steps in. I'm like, girl, I'm trying to get these steps in. It just seems so hard. And like, I could get to 5,000, 6,000. Okay. But anything above that was so hard. It's like, how am I doing this? You're like, walk to your mailbox, do this. I'm like, I am. I'm trying. But it just took me hearing that 10,000 steps a day, that was the minimum to not live a sedentary life. And I was like, all right, I'm a lazy bum. That's just all there is to it. I'm just a lazy bum. That it's so hard for me to get 10,000 steps when that's just living. That's not even exercising. That's just living. So I started to become more and more intentional about getting those steps in, whatever it took. I was already parking the farthest, but so I would park in the farthest parking lot. And then when I get in the grocery store, instead of grabbing my cart, I would go and walk the perimeter 3 times. Just walk it before then go grab the cart and get what I need, mosey through. Cause you're not really moving when you're getting groceries. You're just like,
Right. That's a great.
Yeah. And just getting outside, walking around my island. My family would laugh at me because I was just doing laps around the island, whatever it took. I was getting those steps in, and it helped to do challenges. I would get my tribe in with me and like, let's do it. We can do it. So I do hit 10,000 most days. Some days, you get knocked down, that's not going to happen. You're going to get sick and things like that. But most of my days, my regular living days, I get the 10,000 steps in, and that made a huge difference. So on top of that, I also exercise. I do pickleball most of the time. It's 2 days a week of pickleball and 3 days of strength training. Again, that waivers if you get knocked down and, oral surgeries, flus and sickness and stuff like that.
Things.
Yeah. Kind of takes the wind out of your sails sometimes, but just knowing, getting back to that, but the steps I started doing YouTube, walking on YouTube, the videos there's Get Fit with Rick. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's so fun.
I love that. I love him. I just found him recently, and what a fun way to get that movement in.
Super fun. So movement, definitely. Honing in on my sleep for sure. Oh my goodness. So I got this Aura ring. I don't know if you've heard of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I've been trying to take care of my sleep, but this has been helpful to let me know, all my sleep patterns and stuff. But, I was like, I'm going to bed by 10. That's just how it's going to be. And disciplining to do that, getting sleep, turning off the phone, getting up at a certain time, getting out with the sun, getting my circadian rhythm set, like all of these things, they were just little pegs, that I needed to put in to do whole health, and I looked at it as, because insulin resistance is like the root of so many evils in our body, so many diseases, so many things. And so that it was my focus. Like I wasn't focused on the scale, which it's been nice. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't focused on smaller sizes, which has been great too. But I was just hooked. Those first 2 weeks, I was just like, well, this is the key. I'm convinced this is it. And it has been. So definitely movement and sleep, stress, making sure that I'm breathing and knowing when I'm in a stressful state, recognizing that and stopping and just taking time, learning to say no to things, which is a big one for me. I'm not very good at that, but learning to say no and taking care of me, and making myself a priority was a big one as well.
Yeah. Well, amen, and amen. I'm with you on all of that. It is a lot, but it's not unattainable. Mm-mm. And that, what I see, it's taken, I haven't arrived, but I have a lot of things dialed in, because I've been doing this for 14 plus years. 14
Mm-hmm.
I have been doing this and coaching other women as I'm coaching other women. And sometimes it just, you have to be ready to hear something, and you hear it a different way, and it's an aha. And sometimes it just takes a while to get each habit dialed in before you move on to the next one.
Right. Well,
And
what did it for me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but to bring it all together, all the different things, is every single one of those things, those tools, or those like the sleeping, breathing, your stress, walking, all these things, they all affect your blood sugar.
mhm,
All of them. So I don't think I ever realized that. It's like, oh, okay, I need to move just because it's good for my body. Oh, I need to do this, but I'm not ready to do that. But when I realized they all work together to
it's a
regulate your blood sugar, and regulating your blood sugar was the most important thing for reversing insulin
everything,
resistance.
right? Everything, not just that, but
Everything.
overall health.
Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So that, to me, that put it all together. They just all fit in puzzle pieces into one big picture.
Well, I love that. And I cannot wait for my people to hear you because I feel like I've been clanging a gong, saying these things and teaching these things. And there are a lot of us that are doing them. There's a lot of my clients that are doing them. There's just some, they just haven't heard it yet. They haven't gotten that aha. And I know that this is going to help them. I know it is. I'm super.
I hope so.
I can't wait. So let's before we wrap things up here, let's get some practical, maybe some travel ideas,
Sure.
and then share with us. I know you said a little 12-week something coming. Share with us whatever you can about your next thing, and I'll make sure that all of the links and all the info where they can find you is in the show notes so that they could go follow you because they really need to. I love watching your reels. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so amazing, and they're simple, they're practical, they're educational. I've learned a lot from you, and I send everybody like you got to go see Coach
Oh
Debbie.
my gosh, that means so much to
I
me.
do, and you
Oh
can.
my gosh, when you were saying like, you've been beating the drum and stuff, I even stopped being your client for a while because I was like, I'm a bad client.
You're
I
not
don't do all the things that Chris tells me to do.
not about that, and I'm glad that you got past that because you found your way,
Yeah.
and we,
But I came back. I came back.
you did. I know you did. I'm so glad you did. But here's what nobody's journey is not without the pause and the problem and staying in it to figure it out is what you've done. And then when you do, then you have momentum. Then you build this momentum and this commitment level. And then now that you get to help other people, it even helps reinforce, what you're doing. So it's a beautiful, it's not even the end, but it's a beautiful part of the story when you break through, and
Yeah.
that's really what I hear is you've
Yeah,
had a breakthrough.
definitely.
I love that.
Definitely.
So, can you give us you've already given us some practical things for insulin resistance for sure, and I'm hoping that everyone was listening and writing it down. How about your travel pantry? I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I like to take what I do at home when I go away because I don't want to get derailed where, there's nothing there for me. And the grocery stores are not going to have Baobab collagen whey. I mean, they might, but I don't want to buy a big old honking thing, when I'm going on. So I took these little I think they're called portion packs. They're little just snack baggies from Walmart. And I started just putting all my stuff that I used every day, collagen, Baobab. I made a singing canary dry mix. And so I'd put that in there so that I had it all mixed up. My chocolate secret big boy dry mix, I would put that in a bag. The whey, EAAs, all my stuff that I have in my pantry. I would just fill up those little bags. And then I would take those little bags and put them in a big gallon bag. And just so you know, TSA told me that because I had all the little bags in the big bag, all they had to do was wand the big bag and they didn't have to go through and check every little thing.
Well, that's good to know because I'm getting ready to go. I'm on a flight tomorrow going through TSA because the last time I was with you, we traveled. You're like, you got to get TSA. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I
Did you get it? Did you
I
get
did.
it?
We did. Yeah, we did. Because we're going to Costa Rica in July. Yeah.
Oh, finally, we're going to be able to go next year. I know we were both going to go
We
for like
were.
our
I
30th
know.
anniversaries and then we couldn't.
Yep. So I'm definitely going to be, that's good to know because I have not taken anything through. I've checked everything. So, all right. So you've got all of your things in
Yeah.
one bag. Okay.
Yeah, put all your little baggies in one big baggie, and then they can wand the whole big bag, and they don't have to go through everything else. So I took this insulator bag that my husband got free. I don't know, a vendor or something from work, and I just started. I put that in there. Then I had a baggie of teas, all the teas that I wanted, just the things that I like at home. I want to do it, when I'm gone. A little container of my kefir grains.
Yeah.
Take that. And you got to make sure it's small because you can only have so much liquid, and that's considered a liquid. So I just had a little tiny jar of kefir grains with a little tiny bit of milk. And then on the side pockets, I have 2-ounce bottles of like everything, apple cider vinegar, MCT oil, ghee. Oh, at Kroger, they have these travel packets of ghee that
Oh,
are just individual packets. You just tear
yeah.
them.
Nice.
Yeah, and also I pick up packets when I go to the grocery store, like Whole Foods. They have the little condiments like if you eat there, they have condiments. I don't eat there that much, but I buy stuff, and I'll go and grab packets of mayonnaise because it's the cleanest mayonnaise that I have found in packets.
Okay, nice.
So all of my little packets, Cholula packets, whatever it is that I like. And then my sweeteners, the little individual packets of sweeteners I can just put in my pocket. They're all in this little travel pantry that I have, of all the things just that I like. When I am at home, I want to cook when I'm gone and have my stuff there.
That is awesome. I love that. I have a similar thing that I do. I've got my little system with my jars and my frother and my stuff. And it's so nice when you have a system.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people don't have is they don't have a system. And so even if you don't do all the things, because I would say that's a good amount of things, but just doing a few things and getting a
Yeah.
system for a few things can set you up for such success when you travel, and you can make healthy choices when you're traveling. It doesn't have to derail you. I love that.
Yeah. And I would usually get a 12 pack of those brownie fix bars that they used to have from Trim Healthy. Those were great on travel. Like any kind of protein bar or something like that, that gives me a lot of protein in one setting, meat sticks, things like that, that is just, you can put in a backpack while you're hiking to waterfalls.
Yeah, but now you've kind of come up with your 911 bar,
I
right?
did.
Okay.
I was waiting. I was trying to be patient.
Yeah. Well, I haven't tried it yet, and I want to try it. So I have a lot of people that I tell them, I'm like, yeah, go try this, go do this. And the only thing
Yeah.
what I hear is like, they're like, I don't have aloe vera. What does the aloe vera do? I'm just curious.
I believe what it does is it just takes a little bit, it gives just enough moisture and keeps that texture. So it keeps it kind of soft. And so it doesn't get, if you do use water, that will evaporate and just dry out. And the aloe vera gel doesn't do that, or aloe vera juice, whatever. I got mine, at Whole Foods, but they have aloe vera juice at Walmart, and a lot of people get it, like the Lakewood, I think,
Mhm.
brand. A lot of people get it there, and it doesn't take very much, just a little tiny bit.
And so, but before we go into what you're getting ready to roll out here, tell me about how you make and we'll link to this. You might have this on your website. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, but the salad, the chopped up salad, your favorite chopped up salad. What exactly do you do with that?
Listen, it is the easiest thing that there ever was, and it's not on my website. It is a giveaway. Like I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I'm still new, like, to all this jargon of what things are called.
Probably a lead magnet was what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
I don't know. You sign up for my emails and you get this recipe.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you don't want to do that, you just want to hear it. It's chopped peppers, cucumbers, just chop them up really tiny, and then you just spread it on your plate, drizzle lime juice over it,
Okay.
and then sprinkle tahini
Ooh.
over it.
Okay. I
So
am
good.
going to do that. I'm actually going to make me a snack right after we do this. That sounds so good.
Yeah, yeah, so good. And I have found that if you want to make it ahead of time, cut the peppers, cut the cucumbers. You can store them together, that's fine. But don't put the lime juice or the tahini until you're ready to eat it, or else it's going to be soup.
Yeah. Yeah. I never saw anything until I'm getting ready because I guess it makes it soggy or whatever. I don't know what the salt does. Well,
Yeah, it
thank
brings out
you.
all the juices.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's coming next for you, and then all of the places where people can find you are going to be in the show notes. So tell me
Okay.
your little new thing that's happening.
Okay. Well, I'm really, really excited about it. it's my first real like program. But it is, I call it, a 12-step, 12-week program. It's 12 full weeks. I know that's a long week to do something. A lot of people do 6 or 8 weeks, but I really have narrowed this down to 12 steps. So I want to take each week to go through the steps, and, we'll just be together in a group, and I'll have live Zooms, things for you to question, have question and answers, recipes, just different videos of tips and tricks that I have learned. And I'm still on this journey. So I'm going to come along and tell you all my ups and downs, all along the way. But I really feel like once that 12 weeks, that 3 months, that's a big commitment of consistency. But I feel like that's about the amount of time that you will have implemented this with a community, with a tribe, because I think it takes a community to make some lasting changes that will help forever.
I totally agree. It takes time, and
Mm-hmm.
6 weeks. I mean, I think there's a room for 6 week programs for sure. 8 weeks, but really, I see that it takes about 3 months for people to really start, I guess, implementing things and as a lifestyle, and seeing results, and giving their body time to heal and acclimate, and
Right.
find the tips and tricks to keep that going.
Yeah.
So
And to make mindset shifts, like it takes time to get that mind to start thinking a different way.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I am so thrilled that you have been here today. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom. You're just such a dear friend of mine, and I cannot wait for everybody to hear this. I'm just going to be shouting it from the mountaintops. You have to listen to this podcast from Coach Debbie, because I've watched you go through it, and I've watched you break through. And I'm your biggest cheerleader and fan, and learning from you, and also just celebrating, because I am so open for however anybody wants to do their weight loss journey. I mean, mostly,
Yeah.
I love having a natural alternative. I love, that you were able to figure out what was going on with your body, which is really key.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone to get that, kind of personal, like you said, what's sabotaging me, what's going on here, and just your tenacity, your commitment is contagious. So thanks again
Thank you.
for joining me, and I will have you back again.